From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
He obviously doesn't know the number of the deaths and the chaos that's going through the country. This needs to end. This needs to stop. He needs to resign, and his regime needs to resign with him.
A day of rage in Egypt. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, strike and rally around the country as Hosni Mubarak refuses to step down.
أنني كرئيس للجمهورية لا أجد حرجا أو غضب.
As President of the Republic, I do not find any embarrassment or fault in listening to young people in my country and responding to that.
Mubarak says he'll hand some power to his hand-picked vice president, who is Omar Suleiman. We'll go to Cairo for the latest from Democracy Now's Sharif Abdel-Quddus and Anjali Kamet. Today could be the largest pro-democracy demonstrations in Egypt's history. Join us for this special Democracy Now! Uprising in Egypt. Stay with us. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. A record turnout of protesters is expected on the streets of Egypt today, just hours after Hosni Mubarak again refused to step down as president. In a nighttime address, Mubarak maintained his vow to remain in office until new elections in September. While many had expected a farewell speech, Mubarak said only he would delegate his presidential authority to his hand-picked vice president, Omar Suleiman. Mubarak again also tried to paint calls for his departure as a foreign demand.
أنني كرئيس للجمهورية لا أجد حرجا أو غضب.
As President of the Republic, I do not find any embarrassment or fault in listening to young people in my country and responding to that.
والعيب كل العيب.
However, the real embarrassment and shame and what I did not and will not accept ever is to listen to any foreign instructions coming from abroad, regardless of its sources or motives.
Shortly after Mubarak handed in the powers of the presidency, Vice President Omar Suleiman urged demonstrators to abandon the protests.
Youth of Egypt, youth of Egypt and its heroes, go back to your homes and your jobs. The nation needs your arms to build, improve, and be creative. Do not listen to tendentious satellite channels and channels which have no aims except to mesmerize and to weaken Egypt and its running image. Listen only to what your consciences instruct you to do, your awareness and your appreciation of dangers surrounding you.
Mubarak's defiant speech followed a day of widespread rumors that he was to announce his resignation. CIA Director Leon Panetta had helped fuel the speculation by saying there was a strong likelihood Mubarak would step down. In Cairo's Tahrir Square, a massive crowd of hundreds of thousands began jeering even before Mubarak had finished his remarks.
We didn't expect this at all, and I see that everybody is now asking him, and by all means, just to leave his leadership and leave us for new democracy and new era for Egypt.
We asked him more than once that he should leave this country in peace, but he's still insisting to keep on this country, ruling it with totally unbelievable. He really has to leave.
The Egyptian military is supporting Mubarak's rejection of the pro-democracy movement's demands. In a statement today, the Supreme Military Council backed Mubarak's plan to transfer power to Suleiman and said it would ensure the safety of new elections later this year. The military leaders also vowed to suspend the 30-year-old emergency laws, but suggested that would only come after the protests end. In a statement, President Obama again refused to back Mubarak's immediate departure, saying, quote, "It is not yet clear whether the transition to democracy in Egypt will be immediate, meaningful, or sufficient." In brief remarks shortly before Mubarak's address, Obama spoke in vague terms about the Egyptian uprising.
What is absolutely clear is that we are witnessing history unfold. It's a moment of transformation that's taking place because the people of Egypt are calling for change. And they've turned out in extraordinary numbers, representing all ages and all walks of life. But it's young people who've been at the forefront. A new generation, your generation, who want their voices to be heard. And so going forward, we want those young people and we want all Egyptians to know America will continue to do everything that we can to support an orderly and genuine transition to democracy in Egypt.
One of Egypt's best-known bloggers, meanwhile, has just been released from jail after being secretly held for nearly a week. Karim Amr and his friend, filmmaker Samar Ashra, were seized by a group of Mubarak supporters and handed over to the military Sunday. Karim and Samar were held for nearly a week in a jail located in a desert outside Cairo. We'll have more on Egypt after headlines. Iran has placed a prominent opposition leader under house arrest ahead of an anti-government protest plan for next week. Mehdi Karoubi, a former head of Iran's parliament, was detained just before today's commemoration of the 32nd anniversary of the Iranian Revolution. Last year, Karoubi led an opposition protest during the anniversary celebrations in Tehran. A Pakistani court has extended the detention of a U.S. consulate worker accused in a fatal shooting for another 2 weeks. Raymond Allen Davis has admitted to killing 2 people he said threatened him while he was driving in Lahore last month. A third Pakistani was reportedly run over and killed by a U.S. consulate vehicle that arrived at the scene. Davis's detention has strained U.S.-Pakistani ties, with the U.S. government maintaining he's entitled to diplomatic immunity. At a hearing on Thursday, the Lahore City Police Chief accused Davis of, quote, cold-blooded murder. President Obama's unveiled an $18 billion plan to expand high-speed wireless internet nationwide. The funding would be raised by auctioning off airwaves that currently belong to television stations and government agencies.
Today, more than 90% of homes in South Korea subscribe to high-speed broadband. They just have better networks than we do. In America, the nation that created the internet, by the way, because of government investment, didn't just happen by itself magically. Because of government R&D, we created the internet, but yet only 65% of households here in America can say the same.
In promoting his plan, Obama noted the internet was first created by government-funded research before it was turned over to private profit.
Today, more than 90% of homes in South Korea subscribe to high-speed broadband. They just have better networks than we do. In America, the nation that created the internet, by the way, because of government investment, didn't just happen by itself magically. Because of government R&D, we created the internet, but yet only 65% of households here in America can say the same.
The website thinkprogress.org has revealed details of a plot to undermine political opponents of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. According to leaked emails, 3 private security firms were asked to propose a strategy for weakening progressive and labor groups that have challenged the Chamber's lobbying for some of the nation's biggest corporations. The groups include the Labor Coalition Change to Win, the Service Employees International Union, U.S. Chamber Watch, StopTheChamber.com, and Think Progress itself. One proposal called for entrapping a chamber target by providing them with a document containing false information about the chamber and then exposing the document as a fake once the group publicized its contents. The firms also proposed creating a fake insider persona to communicate with Change to Win. The 3 security companies, Palantir Technologies, HB Gary Federal, and Barrico Technologies, were also implicated this week in a plot to target the online whistleblower WikiLeaks and some of its prominent supporters. Republican Senator John Kyle of Arizona has announced he won't seek a 4th term in office next year. The Senate's second-ranking Republican, Kyle is the 5th incumbent senator to announce his retirement before the 2012 elections. And former Vice President Dick Cheney has been publicly heckled at an unlikely venue, the annual Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC, in Washington, D.C. On Thursday, Cheney appeared at CPAC to present a, quote, Defending the Constitution Award to former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld. After taking the stage to pop music hit Simply the Best, Cheney was met with shouts of war criminal and where's bin Laden.
All right, sit down and shut up.
The hecklers appeared to come from a contingent of supporters of Libertarian Republican Ron Paul. The Paul group walked out of the room as Cheney began to speak. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
And welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country and around the